Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to welcome everyone to Grace Presbyterian Church. It's good to have you all here for Mitch. I know that's what you're here for. You're not here to listen to me. So just wanted to welcome you all and let you know a couple of housekeeping things. One, if you want any water, coffee, lemonade, it's right back here on this table. Feel free to grab some. Also, if you're wondering where the restrooms are, if you go out these two big doors here and go down the hallway, on the right, almost all the way at the end is where the restrooms are at. So there you go. Some of you will need to know that information soon. Let's just be honest, right? Last thing I want to let you know is Grace Presbyterian does a scholarship program for high school and college students. We give students $500 per semester that they participate in our choir and music program here at Grace. And they can use that for scholarships for music lessons, for college, for other things as well. And so just wanted to let you all know about that. If you have any kids, grandkids, neighbor kids, random kids, we would love to have them here at Grace in our choir program. There's a little thing back there standing on the ground all about it, as well as on the table before you go out. There's these little round things right here all about that scholarship program. Feel free to grab one or many of those to hand out to someone that you know. With that, you're all here for Mitch. Hey, step back, enjoy, give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. They had cotton candy earlier. I was hoping there'd still be cotton candy, but there isn't. Thank you. I should have asked for something else, right? Right, it's the 3 wishes thing. Now I blew it. Thank you, Barry. That's funny. Hey, hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. This was really just a thing for me to get together with a bunch of people while I'm in town because I won't be able to see everyone while I'm here. I'll tell you why I'm here in a little while. And really, I was thinking about it when we were getting ready for it. It's also a way now for people to see each other who haven't seen each other. So use this for that time too. I mean, yeah, it's nice that I see you, but boy, I start to make connections and I'm like, wow, there's connections here that maybe you haven't seen each other in a while. So take a second and make some of those connections. That's really valuable. Apparently they do church differently here than in a lot of other places, right, Les? They have round tables and cotton candy. That's what you missed out on at St. James. Right, that's... And I may make you sing that song, so you better be ready. Do any of you remember that? So that may come up. Because I have no idea what I'm doing for the next 46 minutes. So we're just making this up as we go. So really, this is meant to have fun. If you have somewhere to go, if you have a tea time at 2:30, you probably should leave now. Because really, turn your phones off, relax, take it easy. Is it possible to lose maybe the backlights or something, Justin? I feel like I'm in, the doctor's office. I mean, we don't have to get all sexy, but that's nicer. That's a little nicer, right? So now you can hold hands or hold hands with someone you shouldn't hold hands with, and because it's darker. So really, I'm just making this up as we go. I'll tell little stories. I'll catch you up on my family and myself as we go. Evie, was that okay? Because all you've heard me play is stuff all week for the show. So I can actually play, right? Because all she's heard me doing all week is this. That's what I'm working on this new show. So I can play, right? So you were concerned I couldn't play. Okay, so here comes the thing. I'm doing this for one of my newest piano students who's sitting here at the bride and groom table, apparently. She just started taking piano lessons with me, Shelly, and I showed her this little thing at a FaceTime lesson we had last week, and I told her that I would do it in the concert. So I guess if I ask Barry, he's going to give me something. So does anyone have a pencil or Catherine has something? Thanks. Now it's like I'm doing magic tricks. I should ask for a pencil and a 20. That would be good. Okay, this is good. So this little thing that I try to teach all of my students is, as you know, as many of you know who have known me for so long, the notes on the page, whatever, they're irrelevant. They're basically a roadmap that I don't follow. So it's better for me to do stuff without notes on the page. So I always try to tell students that you don't have to just read the music. So I give them this sort of exercise where we create these really lush chords that are really simple to play. And then the rule of it is any white note makes sense because of the chords. So the example is this. So these are these 4 chords. Okay, so it's just basic chords. So any white note works. You can't make a mistake if you just play a white note. It all works, right? Sometimes they're prettier than others and sometimes they're not. But the idea is to get people away from, I've got to stare at music in order to make music. I have to look at, I have to look. Right? Well, before they wrote that, and they didn't know they were writing it, they just probably had a church gig and needed a prelude. So they came home from the bar the night before. Let's be honest, you guys. They had a big ale and they were like, this sounds prayerful. Let's do this morning. And they're just sleeping at the microphone back in, in the 70s. So none of that existed till they made it up. So we take these real basic chords, and I told Shelly that you can do this with one finger, and people never believe that. So I'll use this pencil eraser to play the melody. The trick, of course, to writing music is do something that's memorable. So, for example, if I do this, it's not terribly memorable, right? But yet if you take something that you can play back, and this is a silly example, but this is the example. See, if I repeat that, it becomes a song. And you're like, wait a second, I could sing that back. So now it's a song, right? Joyful, joyful. You can play that back. You can sing that back, where when I do this, you can't, right? So here's the example. We take the pen, we take the eraser, and Shelley, this is how you do it. That's 4 notes, and we didn't do anything, and I'm only using this, so we go. So it's really just those chords. It's nothing different. So it's lovely because you can play it back, but it really is that simple. So then you take the same idea. You take the same idea and then you just embellish it a little, and it's the same thing, right? So we're just making this up. But the trick is, Barry still in the room, or is he getting more cotton candy? So the trick, Barry, is, what's the one trick in piano you've got to do all the time, no matter what? You have got to know where the downbeat is. Now, some of you are like, well, I don't even know what that means. So right now, I know where the downbeat is. And you do too, because you're kind of getting sexy in your chairs, right? Because I'm doing the sexy tempo, right? And you kind of know where the downbeat is. But if I mess that up, watch how much you hate it and you think you're at the dentist getting a shot in your mouth. If I take the same idea, see how that just crushed the whole vibe right there? You were like, oh, that's not very good. So we take the same thing and we'll turn it into a song for you real quick. These are still those same chords, just fatter. There you go. Thank you. So see, it's that easy, Shelley. Shelley will be in concert next week. Great. So let me kind of catch you up a little bit on myself and the family. Kristen told me this yesterday, and I just couldn't believe it. We left 5 years ago. That time has gone by so fast. We left 5 years ago. Orion was to be a freshman in high school, and he graduated, of course, a year ago. So it has been 5 years since we drove away in that U-Haul, and it's really shocking. Justin is still here. I just want to take a moment with Pope Justin for a second, okay? You all can listen, but I'm going to talk to Justin real quick because he has another gig that he has to do over at the prison, right? What is it? Windcrest? Yeah, the prison. So he's going over to the prison to do a gig. So can you turn this up a little bit, Mary? Thanks. I just want to tell you something, Justin, that you don't even know, and you may not know it. This gentleman right here, do you know who this is? This is Les Avery. This is Les Avery. Les Avery, I will tell you all, because obviously I didn't know Les was going to be here. Les Avery is one of the greatest influences on my life. He truly is. You truly are. And if you ever want to have a cup of coffee, and it'll be the best hour you've ever spent on a cup of coffee, you need to figure out how to have a cup of coffee with Les Avery. I mean, am I wrong? Les Avery is an unbelievable man who was a spiritual leader for us over at St. James Pres, over kind of in Littleton, when the dog track used to be there. Was it a dog track, a horse track? That's how long ago that is. And Les Avery was the guy there. And Les Avery, these people will tell you because they were there, this man is one of the greatest influences I've ever had in my life to this day. If you ever want to have a moment, find some time to spend some time with Les Avery, okay? Acceptance, gratitude, yes, Lord. That's what the tattoo says. He's a beautiful man. Treat yourself, Justin. 92 years of age, he got a tattoo. Nice. I have two, too. A lot of you already know this. One of them is the constellation Orion for my son. The other one is a willow tree for my daughter, Willow. And here comes the aha one, okay? But I can't talk on the mic, so I'll take the mic off for a second. So here's the big aha one. And Barry was with me the day we did this because I did them all in one day because I was never going back. So I did them all in one day. So we wrote to my wife and I said, Kristen, would you sign your name a few times on a piece of paper? So she signed her name and we took a picture of it. So Anna, my friend from high school that I played at her in high school, she created, you can't really see them, but there's two on my thumbs, okay? There's two back here on my thumbs. When you put them together, it's the K from my wife's name, Kristen. So when you put them together, so that's what those are. So this is my family on my hands, the most important thing to me. And quite frankly, more important than music, because this is family. And I did them this way so that I see them when I play. A lot of people do a tattoo so you get to see it. And I wanted them so I can always see my family when I'm playing. So that's why I put them this way on my hands. But that's what those are. That is to honor my family. So thank you, Les. Okay, let's make something else up, shall we? Hey, the dark one, can I still play? Okay, just checking. Grace is one of the great talents I have ever had the chance to play 4 years ago, and she and her folks came today, so I just wanted to make sure I could still play. Great. Let me make something else up for you. Let's see. Oh, I know what I'll do. Okay, her name was Lisa Freeman. It was way back, like in the 80s, the 1980s, for those who think I'm older than that, not the 1880s, okay? She was Miss Colorado for a while, and one day she was also a ballerina, and I was going to pick her up for lunch. And I happened to get there early, and she didn't know that I was there. So I stayed in the lobby of the dance studio, and I watched her dance by herself. So no kids, no class. She was just being free in the room. She didn't know I was there. And I got to watch her for about 15 minutes just express herself as a ballerina. So I wrote this piece called Belle in honor of that moment for Lisa. So this is Belle. Thanks. Jeff and Suzanne are here. Thank you for being here. That was a big deal for you to come. Thank you. See, I can play, Suzanne. I don't just do this all the time. So the reason I'm in town is that I have been asked to music direct a brand new piece here in town that's happening in September, a brand new musical theater piece called The Android's New Soul. It was written many, many years ago by a woman named Dana Kane from here in Colorado, and she reached out to Jeff LaGreca and Suzanne Slade to be a part of the creative team, and they needed a music director to lift all the music and write it. So I did all that, and then I suggested that I come out and work with the cast and kind of set the show. So that's what I've been doing here. We've been rehearsing. I arrived late last Sunday night, and I've been rehearsing the show with them all week, and I have a rehearsal today at 3:30 with the band just a couple blocks away, so that's why we're doing the concert now. So that's what I'm doing in town. I leave next Saturday to head back to New Jersey. I was waiting for the sad sound from all of you. Yeah. So yeah, Kristen and I live in South Orange, New Jersey, and we are working at a 450-seat dinner theater out in western New Jersey. It's on 90 acres. It has a lake and a forest, and we have bear and deer. It's really surprising. If you were to just sort of be dropped there without knowing where you were, you'd be surprised that it's in New Jersey. It's lovely. And yeah, I meant that both ways. I just said it. Kristen is the artistic director out at that theater, and she's doing wonderful work. We just closed a run of Always Patsy Cline that I played piano for, and we're booked now through May of next year doing shows, and Kristen's just thriving out there. Orion is currently living in Tempe, Arizona with his Highlands Ranch girlfriend. She goes to school at ASU, and he's doing personal training while he's there, and adulting happens fast. And Willow, she and her now husband met at Marymount College, New York City, going to school for musical theater, which they both don't do at all. So we sort of paid to get her a husband, is how I'm looking at it, right? That was expensive, Les. I could have found a cheaper dowry, believe me. What was interesting was that they met in a class back when they were sophomores in Manhattan, and Josh is from Colorado Springs. And they didn't know that. So they know a lot of the same people we know in theater. So anyway, Willow is here working a corporate job that I guess if this is going out to the public in some way, she loves her job. Wherever the camera is, she loves her job. Now, editing that out, look, it's a job she sits at and just makes phone calls, 1,000 phone calls a day, while Josh is getting his pilot's license. So she's sort of doing that thing to keep it steady while he's getting his hours in the sky and getting certified. And they live in Lowry. They live just over in Lowry, near the beer garden, if that means anything to people. It's a great beer garden. So there you go. That sort of catches you up in the family. What am I doing? I'm playing at the theater a lot. I do tech out at the theater when it's not a musical. And I have a church, Freehold United Methodist Church, that I play for every Sunday, a 10 a.m. service. And they like what I do, and I like them, and it's very sweet. The cornerstone, unlike Grace Presbyterian Church, the cornerstone is 1857. That's when they laid the cornerstone for this particular building. So they have an old pipe organ that hates when I come every Sunday because you just hear that wind just going, ugh. So it's a lovely, lovely congregation. They let me do all the crazy things I want to do. So that's kind of a fun little segue. Let me see if this is the family writing. I was going to Facebook Live this, but he said that we don't. Oh, it's Joe from our show giving us our schedule, if you care. So Justin said there's not great Wi-Fi, so I didn't try to do the live thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition to organ, because for some of you who know I used to play organ, I never took piano lessons. I was waiting for that sad sound again. I never took piano lessons. I took organ lessons from the time I was 12 years old to the time I was 16. That's the only formal training I've ever had. And it was this won't mean anything to you all here in the West, but out on the East Coast, I took at a place called the Nelson Varon Organ Studios. It was very popular on the East Coast. Back in the day, and this is hard for the young people, so come with me back in a time when malls weren't covered, right? It was just like JCPenney on one end and Sears on the other end, and then stuff in the middle, right? It wasn't covered. So now we're getting into queer old stories. And I'm looking at the Tans table, and I'm like, oh my God, you're such an old man. When I was a kid, I was a competitive roller skater. Again, on the East Coast, that was like skiing is here. It was a thing. Like, it was really a big deal thing. So I was a competitive roller skater. My mother came over in third class on a ship when she was 14 years old from Ireland. She was sent here by her uncle because my mom, this all has something to do, believe it or not, with playing the organ. My mom grew up thinking that her grandparents were her parents. Her mom had a daughter. Her mom got pregnant, went back to Ireland, and gave birth to Virginia Mary Collins and left her and gave her to my grandparents and said, you deal with her. I don't want her. So my mom grew up believing her grandparents were her parents. And the way my mom, who has passed away since, rest in peace, Mom, she would describe her upbringing, her childhood, as when the Germans were going to bomb Ireland, a siren went on, and everybody went into the shelters. The Germans bombed the you-know-what, and then the sirens came on again, and all the kids could run out and gather potatoes in their clothing because the Germans had unearthed potatoes. Then when the sirens happened, they had to go back down because they were going to get bombed again. This is how she grew up. And she shared that they were given a pound of coffee, a pound of tea, and a pound of sugar once a month. That was their rations. And other than that, it was potatoes or whatever they could find. And Mom would share that the order of events was that they would make the coffee in an open fire kettle, and Dad, Grandpa, got the first cup. Grandma, and so on until the youngest one got what was ever left. So an uncle approached when my mom's parents died. An uncle approached and said, Virginia Mary, it's time. They're not your parents. You need to go to America. So he put her on a boat, and she would tell this story not very happy because it was painful, it was hard. She got put on a boat in her Irish clothes with her Irish bag, her kind of carpet bag, if you will, on third class, spent 2 weeks on a third class boat, and the first thing she ever saw, Statue of Liberty. Like that thing in Yentl. And I cry because we went there a week ago, and it's very emotional for us because I think my mom, right? So she arrives at the Brooklyn shipyards, and they have letters for your last name. So she sits under the sea for Collins, and she wouldn't mind that I said that she's as limey as they get. She spoke Gaelic and Latin and English and could write in Gaelic and Latin. And she waited all day, and the Red Cross women in the white hats brought her cookies and milk, and she was waiting there all by herself. So she begged them to put her back on a ship, because this wasn't good. At the end of the day, a woman came up to her, and she was dressed like a New Yorker, because this is, and a young girl came up to her, and according to my mom, the first word she ever heard in America was, "Are you Virginia Mary?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm your mother, let's go." And then the first words out of her sister she ever heard was, "I'm not going anywhere with her dressed like that." So that's the memories my mom tells. Well, one of the few things my mom got to do in Ireland was roller skate. That was her joy. She loved roller skating, outdoors, indoors, wherever they could. That was their joy that they had. So when she got married, blah, 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 has my sister, has my brother, has me, I'm the youngest, she wanted us to roller skate. So my brother and sister started. Well, my brother is like 5 or 6 inches shorter than my sister. So he saw that picture and was like, yeah, we're done with that. I'm not doing that anymore. So I was the last one. So I started to roller skate. So I spent my youth competitive roller skating, dance, figures, freestyle. Same stuff you see on ice, that's what we did on roller skates, except a hell of a lot clunkier and not near as sexy because those roller skates are heavy. So I listened to organ music my whole life, right? How queer, right now you're really like, God, we're firing from our show. So I listened to, for hours. For the tango on organ. And the organ you're thinking in your head, that's exactly what I grew up with that. So we're at the mall, the Bayshore Mall, back to the mall. And we walk past Nelson Varon Organ Studios, and they have these big signs that they made with neon paint. Sign up for lessons and have a free organ for a month. Well, my mother said, well, of course it's organ, it's roller skating. He's going to love it. Mitch, do you want to take organ lessons? What? So we signed up for organ lessons, and it was like, I don't know, $50 for 4 lessons in a month, and you got an organ delivered to your house. A Lowry organ with 2 half manuals and 1 little thing of pedals. I know some of you are saying, shut up and play the piano, but I'm only here for 1 day, and we've got a little bit of time. So they delivered this organ to the house. Well, my God. Well, the greatest thing the organ had, again, young people, hang with me, it had a headphone jack. So I could play all the time and no one had to hear me. So that was the best part of the organ. Well, as you progress, and the teacher said after 4 weeks, he said, he's pretty good. Like, do you want to continue his lessons? Well, my mom is thinking, well, my son's going to play in a roller rink. This is awesome. So when I started lessons at 12. And when I was about 13 and a half, I started playing in a skating rink right across the street from the mall on a Hammond organ with Leslie's and, all skate. That was me doing all that stuff at 13 and a half. At 14 years old, I signed my first contract as a choir director, organ master at a Presbyterian church on Long Island because I had also studied classical organ with Gary, my organ teacher. So all that comes around to say that I actually am an organist. I went to Northwestern University for classical organ. I studied for 1 semester and I dropped out because I hated it, and I hated my teacher. He found out that I was playing for the musical theater people. He found out that I was playing for the WAMU show, which at Northwestern is a really big deal. So I was playing MAME, as a matter of fact, as one of the piano players for MAME. And I walked into my lesson, and his name, honest to God, was Wolfgang Rupsam from Germany. And he was from Germany. And he said to me, I'll never forget it, because I was at the Interdenominational Cathedral on the big pipe organ, getting ready for my lesson. And Wolfgang, with his very thick accent, says, I understand you're playing for WAMU. I said, yeah, I'm 18. What the hell do I know? I was like, yeah, I'm one of the rehearsal piano players. That's what I do. Isn't that great? These were his exact words, because I never heard this word before he said it. I forbid you to play that music. And I said, what? He said, yeah, I forbid you to play that music. And these are his exact words. That is not real music. The only real music is classical literature. So I said, Wolf, I'm going to take a quick break. Folded up my books, walked right over to the dean's office, and I said, Dean, this is what Wolf just said to me. And I was on a scholarship as a freshman, as a classical organ major. I said, do you support what Wolf said? Mitch. I said, no, see, you just said my name. That's not what I asked. Do you support what Wolf said? He said, I support our teachers and what they think. So I said, you support that my teacher just said all other music is not real music, and he forbids me to play for the WAMU show. He said, yeah, I do. I said, cool, I'm out. I'm giving up my scholarship, and I'm out. So that's all the training I've ever had. All that to being said, I'm going to play the organ real quick for you guys. For those who don't even know I can play the friggin' thing, right? Here we go. That was a long story. any questions while we're talking, and then I'll play a couple more and you can all go home. So I have a thing. And Laura Dotson, who's in the room, mother of the dark one, she was actually one of the people who I remember this very clearly because it was a rainy day in Jersey when I made this phone call. And Laura Dotson was a big part of this. And I've never forgotten this, and she may have forgotten it, and she may say he's making it up. I have this thing about 12, and my friend Barry Brown and I talk about it all the time. I have this thing about 12 because for those who know me, I'm very, very afraid of dying. I'm very afraid of dying. And that's a daily thing for me. So I got to thinking about it one day, and I came up with 12. And the reason I came up with 12 is because at some point, you will see someone for the 12th to last time. But we don't know when that is. And again, Laura, if it wasn't you, don't ruin the moment and just go with it. But I remember having this kind of conversation with you years ago on a phone because I thought, you don't know when the last 12th time is. Because if you count backwards, you're like, well, that one could be 11. We could already be at 4 for all we know, because we don't know. Here in our theater community, and I'm particularly looking at my theater friends from the community, we've had a lot of loss in the last 12 months here in the Denver community. Tracy Kern's husband passed away completely unexpectedly. Young man, Tracy was married not quite 2 years maybe, and just wasn't feeling well, and my sister lost her husband very unexpectedly out of nowhere. So I've always kind of been messing around with the idea of 12, and I've always wanted to consider writing a little musical about 12, because I think we take each other for granted way too much. My friend Barry Brown, we went and had church this morning. We went and had church, and I'm going to describe to you something that literally happened that I'll put on Facebook maybe after the concert. We went to church down at Sacred Heart. For any of you know, do you all know where Sacred Heart is? It's 20 minutes from where we're sitting. What is that little town where Bud's Bar is? Sedalia? Bud's Bar, bring cash. And they don't serve fries. Sacred Heart is a place, it's a monastery, Jesuit run, originally run by the Jesuit order. And it's this incredible place down off, go past Bud's Bar and you go up a little bit. And it's been there for 1,000,000 years, and it is a quiet sanctuary. And you are welcome there 24 hours a day. You can get a room there. They have silent rooms. They serve meals there. But it's a holy, holy place. And one of the things Barry and I did after we got out of the car and we walked to this place, we both just kind of listened to the silence. Because it's holy. Well, I want to describe to you, and Barry, it just happened 2 hours ago. I mean, we were there. Barry and I, they have a pond full of lily pads out there, and a lovely little swing that you can sit. So Barry and I are just sitting and talking, and again, this was at 11 o'clock this morning. We're at Sacred Heart, and we're just chitting and chatting about whatever, and we're watching the lily pads, and it's just lovely. It's as lovely as can be. And Barry said, look. And I looked up, and there was a mama deer standing 30 feet from us because we were at her drinking fountain. And we must have watched her for a good 4 or 5 minutes. She knew we were there. She was fine with it. This was her drinking time. And she came down to the pond and took some drinks and stood there for a while and eventually walked away. Talk about church. I mean, that was church, Barry. So it got me to thinking about 12, right? So I'm going to do a thing. It's an improv. I have no idea what I'm going to play. Grab a hand to somebody or not. It's up to you. Have a thought. I'm looking at the Setons and Major, right? I'm looking at the Setons. We have a relationship with Major. And grab a hand to somebody. Look, I'll be done in about 10 minutes, and then you can go get ready for the Bronco game and all that. It's coming. But for a few minutes, I'm just going to play. And I don't know, just be, right? That's all you have. That's your job. Your job right now is to just be. I'll take care of the rest. Thanks. So, Mary, do you still have that wireless mic you used for the Pope earlier? Can you bring it down and turn it on? Oh, it's right here? Well, someone will get it. I don't have that person, although I did get cotton candy. Oh, thank you. There it is. Great. So, 1,000 years ago, I don't know how it happened. Oh, it's muted? Great. Let's check it. Oh, she's going to check it. Mary's running. Sorry, Mary. She thought this was a sit-down gig. 1,000 years ago, I don't know how it happened. I really don't remember how it happened. But for God knows what reason, back in the 80s, if you can go back to the 80s, I had more hair and it was darker. I had less of me to love. Think of it that way, Jeff. There's more of me to love right now. A guy let me take a gig at a church. And you think my accent's now New York, forget it. Then you could hardly understand me. And they let me play piano for them under the guidance of the music director, Nick Rossi, who is a musical savant. The guy's a genius. Well, this guy was this crooked old man that we all loved. He was even old in the 80s. And every now and then, he'd point at me with this crooked finger of his. He'd get up to preach a sermon, and he'd go like this. I'll never do it justice, but maybe he'll do it for us. So he'd get up onto the pulpit. He'd go up onto this little middle high-rise thing we did, and he'd look around. He always wore a turtleneck, always had a suit coat on, always had cowboy boots on, always. He'd get up there and he'd do this. That's what he'd do. It's all he had to do. And he would do this.
All right. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Okay. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. The brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord in the midst of God's children. The Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. There can be just 2 or 3. And I know from this day forward, life will not be as before. For in this place, Grace Presbyterian Church, I've been touched by the hand of the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on his place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Oh, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I turned 90. As you can tell, I turned 94 on July 4th of this year. I haven't sung this song for 30 years.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, he'd often point his crooked finger and go, Shirley. And that's Avery. Thank you.
And I don't know whether it was you or somebody else who one day said, Les, when you're gesturing, do you realize you're using this finger? I said, no, I didn't. But I got to tell you one quick story.
Yeah.
East Orange, New Jersey. His name was Herb Anderson. I knew him. He was a little lightweight Baptist preacher. He was holding revival meetings at the Baptist church there in East Orange, New Jersey. And he had an evening service, morning service. He preached the morning service. He wanted to go to the orphanage on the afternoon that his denomination was supporting, took a train to it, and he said, I'll be back in time for the service in East Orange. Well, he gets on the train to come back, and the conductor says, this train doesn't stop in East Orange, New Jersey. I'm sorry, we don't stop. Well, he said, we do slow down. And I'll give you just one conductor. I'll tell you when you jump off the train, I'll go real slow, we'll get him to, you run in the direction of the train. So he slowed down, he ran in the direction of the train, and he just suddenly, this big arm reaches out, big conductor, big guy sweeps him up, says, I didn't know you don't push him back on the train. Says, you don't know how lucky you are, this train doesn't stop in East Orange, New Jersey.
Thank you, Les.
It doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't. Thank you. Thanks, Les. Hey, I'm going to do two more, and then let's all go live our lives, right? I'll do 3 notes, and then I'll finish with Amazing Grace. We honor Carlisle Spohr, always with that. So I'll do 3 notes. I do a thing where you call out 3 notes, and I make up something. Sometimes it's absolute crap, and sometimes it's okay. But it's immediate, so it's that, right? So we'll start with 3 notes from somebody. So one person yell out a note. I'm sorry, D, I heard a D. Second note? Sorry, F sharp. And third note? C? B. D, F sharp, B. Very simple today. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Right, so, great. We'll go with that. D, F sharp, B. Here it comes. You know what? This one's so simple. I'll let Jeff LaGreca pick the style. I don't usually do that, but I have cotton candy, so what the heck? Reggae, okay. Thank you all for coming. I meant what I said. I can hang out a little while afterwards. I have a 3:30 rehearsal just down the street. Please visit with each other. Really, take a minute to visit with each other. You've probably not seen some of you in a while, so visit with each other. I'm going to finish with Amazing Grace. I've had the honor of getting to play this for a very long time. It was Carlisle Spohr. Darlene Spohr is here today. Carlisle Spohr, who I played it for the very first time at his church, South Presbyterian, do I have that right? South Presbyterian, I got to play it. It was 1,000 years ago, Darlene, when I got to do it. It was the first time I ever did it, was for Carlisle Spore. And I have had the honor of playing this hundreds and hundreds of times over the years. It's sort of my version of it. So thank you all for coming. I'd love to say hi to as many people as want to be said hi to. Maybe some selfies would be fun. Barry, thanks for this morning. I said, when that was happening, I said to Barry, because I think in these terms as well, I said to Barry, so there's about 8 billion people on the planet Earth right now at this moment. How many of them got to have that experience? Kind of 2 of us. That's pretty good odds. Thank you, Les, Avery. Thanks, everybody.